but I'm excited because when I leave, I literally have, we may never see each other again, but I have the ability when you walk out of this room to make you operate in a way you've never operated before. And once you do that, because I know if you're in this room, I know there's something special about you, that once you leave this room.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Decisions Over Time, episode number 4, baby. Let me stop. Now we back in here. I got my favorite, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I got my cousin on here today, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself and kind of let her tell y'all, you know, what she want to share with y'all and what she think will be very inspiring to others that might go through, that might have been through or is going through what she has been through. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Mia. Well, Mia. I really just wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about, like, I know like a lot of people go through trauma, and with that comes a lot of mental illnesses that a lot of people don't really understand, but I suffer with it like firsthand, as like well as my parent, like my mom. So I'm just gonna touch bases on like what I went through a little bit and like how I got through my depression and anxiety and becoming the woman that I am today, even though I had to overcome like so many challenges throughout the process.
So what kind of triggered you to get to that point? Like, you know, actually what made you notice like, oh, okay, I'm depressed? Like what got you to that point?
Honestly, I would say when it started to get to the point where I went through something traumatic, and I kind of felt like I was losing myself. A lot of things that I remember, like I love doing and things that I enjoyed doing and being around my family and the ones I love, I couldn't mentally or physically be around them. I wanted to like be alone. I had no like urge to do anything because I felt like I was so mentally exhausted and drained. I feel like a huge thing also, I used to self-harm. 2 years clean, thanks me. But I used to self-harm because at that time, I didn't know what it was. I just kind of figured, okay, I see my mom go through this and I saw how much she suffered. And this usually helped her, which is not good, but I reflected off of what I saw and I tried to self-medicate without talking to anybody. And I'm gonna say a huge thing with that is you have to talk through it, because if you just sit and you try to hold it all in, it's all gonna come out at one time and it's gonna be to the point where you can't control it.
So did you ever take the chance to actually want to talk about it? Like even after you went through what you went through, did you ever find a way to talk about it to anybody even after the situation?
I think after, it took me a year. Like I self-harmed for a year without anybody noticing, without anybody even knowing that something was wrong with me, because I was able to, you know, fake it till you make it. And nobody really saw. I just went about everything the same, but behind closed doors, it was a different story. Like I didn't want to be here. I didn't, you know, I had so much insecurity built up inside of me and I blamed myself. But I think after I decided to accept things for what they were and forgive what happened, forgive the person and everything that happened to me so that I could move on, that's when I was able to reach out to my family. Like, you know, you were a huge person that I talked to throughout my process and still is. My family was my biggest supporters. Like, even though they could be my downfall at times, but once I got comfortable with accepting, like, okay, I got to forgive this person to get through this. Because if I keep holding on to it, I'm going to continue to be angry. I'm going to continue to blame myself and beat myself up about it. But it took a long time. It took writing. It took praying. It took believing in, like, having faith. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, like, God will get you through anything. You just got to put the work forth too. Like, you can't, you know, just expect him to just switch a switch and everything be okay. You got to put forth the work too, to let him know what's going on.
So do you think like when you said you had to forgive, right? Do you think it was hard for you to forgive, like within a certain time frame just because you thought you was forgiven for that person? Or like what it took for you to actually notice, oh, I gotta forgive for myself?
It wasn't an easy process. Like I said, it took a while.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was letting them get away. I was letting them get a pass for what they did to me, and I didn't ask for any of this to happen. Um, and I was young, so I'm thinking, okay, if I forgive this person, I'm not gonna be angry at them, and they're not gonna know how I feel. But I really wanted them to feel my pain. But at the end of it all, after my mom saw like me hurting myself, she was like, Mia, like, what's going on? And I think it was the fact that I didn't realize that I had so much support in the beginning. Like, I had support all throughout of it, but I felt like I had to handle it on my own. That all like keys into me basically growing up, being so independent, taking care of myself, making sure that I was okay before I would reach out. And I realized that I had a huge support system. And I didn't know that. I thought everybody would be mad at me and blame me. I was scared. I was scared to honestly come out and say, hey, I've been through this and this happened. And I didn't expect anybody to believe me. I didn't expect anybody to be able to help me through it by myself. And I feel like a huge thing was like, at the end of it all, when I cried and I let it all out and I explained why, I realized I didn't want to feel like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I went through being in a mental hospital. I went through like hurting myself. I went through therapy. I went through so much until I was able to get to the point of like, okay, this is taking too much from me. I'm losing myself because of something that happened to me that somebody else did. And I became stronger and strong enough to be like, I'm not giving you that satisfaction. I'm going to continue to live my life and be great, regardless of what you did to me, because you have to live with that on your conscience, not me.
Right. So when you're talking about, when you're referring to somebody, because I don't think you told them exactly what you're talking about. So when you're referring to somebody, like what they did to you and it's not your fault, let them know. I know what you're talking about, but let them know exactly what you're talking about.
So when I'm talking about that, I basically mean I was sexually abused at a really young age. And it was nothing, you can't, you never know what's gonna happen. But it was opening up, finally going to my dad's family house and like being around people that I really didn't know. And I wasn't aware of my situation. I wasn't aware of my surroundings. And, somebody sexually abused me. Should I like touch bases on like?
You can if you want. You can if you want.
Okay. But I basically was at a family member's house and I remember like not feeling good, and I remember like laying down and I just remember like waking up to like this huge and I didn't understand what was going on until I felt so much pain like all at once, and I felt emotional and I didn't understand why. I'm like, I've never had any type of sexual encounter before that moment. So I didn't understand what was going on. And like being like choked and like hurt and physically abused while in the process of being sexually abused made me like scared for my life. Like I never felt that scared ever in my life, and I was at somebody's house that I thought I was comfortable, that I could be comfortable and vulnerable at. I honestly, after that, I remember I was bleeding all over the place. I remember crying. And I just didn't scream. I didn't budge. I like mentally checked out of that whole situation because I had no idea that what this person could do to me. I honestly to this day still don't know who. And I wish that's something that I would have been able to go through with and figure out, and it would have gave me a little bit more closure. Because I spent, after that, I literally called my Nana. She came and got me. I didn't say anything. I just, made it seem like I was on my, cycle, and like I went and showered and I cried and I went home like everything was normal. And then like, I guess it was hard for me to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep with the light off. I didn't want to be alone. It was just so much anxiety that built up inside of me until like, that's when I started not wanting to be here, because I started to blame myself for everything. And I remember like just sitting in the bathroom floor and just being so upset, bawling eyes, crying, screaming, like running the water so nobody could hear me. And I just started to hurt myself. And that, at that time, that was the only thing that helped me release the pain that I was going through inside, mentally and spiritually, because I didn't expect anything like this. Like I said, you can't expect it. It just happens. But when I started to hurt myself, I was like, okay, this is physical pain. I can deal with this. I was more so focused about the cuts on my arm, the bleeding, rather than what was mentally going on in my head at that time.
Yeah, so you kind of try to cover that mental pain with physical to try to find that as an outlet. Like, and it happens a lot. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that we as humans, we find that to better cope with than actually dealing with the thoughts that we have within our mind. Because, I think the power comes from our thoughts and our tongue. You know what I mean? We speak and what we think. And, that's really deep what you said. You know what I mean? And like, so how long did it take for you to actually talk about it? Like, is this your first time actually ever talking about it, like deeply, or like?
It's my first time talking about it openly, and not shutting down in the process of like talking about it. I feel like I've talked about it to the ones close to me, but like my family, like my mom and them, they still don't really know my story, because I just accepted it. And I just felt like if I keep talking about it, I felt like if I kept talking about it, I would relive it. And I feel like how I am now is I'm very open, because I know there's somebody else going through exactly what I'm going through.
Right.
And I don't want anybody to feel like they can't, talk about it or be open about it. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, like, it's hard trying to hold back tears, but it's okay to like let it go, because if you get it off your chest, you'll feel so much better. And then honestly, it's just being comfortable. It doesn't have to be with your family. It doesn't have to be with your best friend. Therapy. A lot of people are scared to go to therapy and just be open, but that's somebody that's not going to judge you. That's somebody that's going to try to help you work through the thoughts that you can't work through on your own. That's what they that's what they go to school for. So
yeah,
like, this isn't the first time like that I actually like publicly talked about it. But yeah, it's pretty much like maybe the second, honestly. I mean, I've talked about it to people that I know that has went through the same thing as me, and like to guide them in a better situation. But yeah, this is like the first letting everything out now, like about the situation and about what happened to me. This is the first time that I've ever talked about what happened and how it happened and how I felt in that moment.
Okay. So like, do you think you will ever like do something as passionate, like from what you've been through, you'll kind of use that influence to try to help other women that might still be going through it or has been through it? You think you will ever, you see what I mean? Like something,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Honestly, I would say yes. That's something that like I'm really passionate about, because like I said, my mom has bipolar depression. She's went through this along with other encounters like drug addiction, trying to, numb the pain. And that's not a healthy, I'm not going to say I'm not knocking it, but that's not a healthy way to get through your trauma, get through what you've been through, because it's only going to mask it. I had other family members and other friends that I came encounter with while I'm growing up to be like who I am now, that really feel like they don't have no outlook. Honestly, I definitely do. I've been really thinking about like getting in with my aunt about like ministry, because she's in a ministry, but like taking time, like just start a program to where it doesn't have to be nothing huge, even just a support group.
Yeah.
Our community, because in where we grew up in Cumberland County, it's, you know, it's so closed off, it's so small, and it's not a lot of resources that it is in the city, you know, where I'm like where you are and where I am. So it's honestly, I feel like a lot of young kids need that. And a lot of women, there's grown women now that still can't get through some things because they don't know how to talk about it, or they feel like they're being judged.
Right.
And I have three younger siblings, and those are my world. And I try my best to be their, you know, role model. And I feel like if you have somebody that looks up to you, it's even greater. The change, the turnaround that you can make is even greater because you have something that you're fighting for, you know? And like, I didn't want to be succumbed to what happened, you know, to my situation. I wanted to be better than that. And I wanted to show my siblings that even if you do get, you know, some bumps and bruises, it's okay to keep pushing forward. You know, it's okay to forgive, not for them, but for you. You know, it's okay to talk about it. Like my sisters, we all have an open relationship. They're younger than me, but they can call me about anything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all I've ever wanted, because we didn't have that growing up. I literally, like, I'm not knocking my mom, but, you know, or my dad wasn't in my life. Their dad was, but, you know, as parents, they do the best that they can. And if they're going through things and they can't work through their things, it's hard for them to be there for their kids, you know? So I wanted to be that for them. So I definitely want to continue to voice that it's okay. Like, don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like you're the only one going through this. Don't feel like, you know, you're the reason. Another thing that I want to say is a lot of women that I come across, including myself, think that if you're sexually abused, molested, or anything, that you ask for it.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't care what you wear. I don't care how you look. I don't care. None of that. If you say no, that is your right. And you have every right to walk away from any situation you feel uncomfortable in at any point.
Yeah. See, and that's what I agree with that, because I think that ties into what a lot of this society contain, like, and even it deals with expectation. Like, oh, I'm supposed to look this way, or I'm supposed to feel this way, I'm supposed to do this, but you have to be able to live through your own opinion, your own image of what you feel in the inside, not what everybody else. And I think this society too kind of live off of the, well, it's what is, I only care about what somebody else would think. You know what I mean? And we got to be able to not worry about what the next person, because I struggle with it too. You know, like even on a daily basis, like in the workplace, like I'm like, okay, I can't make this move because this person gonna think this, or that person gonna think that. And that's what makes us unhappy, I feel like. You know, that's just my opinion, but you know.
I feel like that's really true, because I feel like a lot of our happiness comes from just accepting who you are and being who you are.
Exactly.
Not having to change or society or any of that. Just accepting who you are, being confident in your own skin and being you. And if this world had everybody the same, it would be a boring world and a lot of people would be unhappy. So
that's true.
it's like, my hair makes me different from you. You know, even with, you know, like my height, it's so many different things. Like
Not
God is different for a reason, and we all are unique and beautiful in our own way. And I feel like the first step to finding happiness, in my opinion, came from being confident in who I am, not saying, okay, I'm supposed to look like that, or why don't I wear that, or I need this because it just came out. But it's all about accepting what you want.
Yeah.
Once you want it, you go and get it. I promise you, what anybody else have to say, it's gonna go right over your head, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm doing what I like." It's just that
Right.
simple.
So do you think like what you've been through, do you think it kind of impact like you inside of relationships a little bit?
Let me see. Okay. I feel like yes.
Mhm.
Like I said, I didn't have my dad in my life until I was like 18, 19. And to this day we still don't have a huge, relationship, daddy-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
So when it comes to male figures in my life,
Mhm.
he always had a tendency to let me down. I feel like my hugest problem now is I am 22 years old and I'm still exploring my sexuality.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because I never knew what to expect out of either gender.
Mhm.
I didn't have no, figure to base off, okay, they're supposed to do this or it's supposed to be like this. I kind of just explored and I'm still exploring, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like even with either gender, I feel like my hugest thing is commitment. Um, I just I've been working on it, and it's just like, you have to, people are gonna, some people are in your life for a season
Yeah.
and not forever.
Right.
It could be a relationship that, that you thought was gonna last forever. And I feel like my hugest thing is when that person walks away or it's not what I envisioned it to be,
Mhm.
I'll check out. I'll emotionally check out of the situation.
Yeah.
But I say that now as of like right now, I feel like I'm in a good place in my life. And when I feel like mentally and spiritually I'm not in a good place, I can't offer my love or offer anything to anybody else because I'm broken, and I feel like that's just me. And I genuinely feel like it plays a part on relationships now, even more before growing up when I was younger,
Mhm.
because I don't know any better. But honestly, I just say like I've been just trying different things, seeing what triggers me, what doesn't trigger me, what can I withstand, how
Yeah.
much can I, what do I feel like I need to walk away from if it's diminishing me as a person. It's a lot of stuff now that I will not take. There's a lot of energy that I will not invest
That's good. Yeah.
in situations because I know what I want, and I'm not looking for anybody to change, and I'm not looking for nobody to change me.
Right.
You have to accept me for all of me,
Mhm.
past, future, my goals. You have to accept me for who I am and everything that's going to come with me.
Yeah.
I would do the same to you. So I feel like that's been a huge thing. Not really knowing what to expect out of people, because of course we're all flawed as humans. But that's part of relationships. You have to get to know a person. You have to date. You have to know the ins and out before you just fully, commit. And
Right.
we all make mistakes. So I feel like my hugest thing now is learning how to give all of me
Mhm.
when it's necessary. I used to put myself all in head first and get hurt and check out completely and just be like, oh, okay, I don't want to be in another relationship. I'm just gonna be single.
Yeah.
And with that mindset, I just feel like life is trial and error. If you don't learn from your situation and you check out of it, you're not gonna know how to get back on the road. Like that's what dating is. So I feel like it does have an impact on me, even to this day. But like I said, I'm constantly growing mentally and emotionally, and I'm trying to continue to better myself so that one day I can be in a committed relationship and give all of me to the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. Put a ring on it. So yeah, I'm definitely open and definitely just trying to explore. There's so many people out here. It's okay to not just commit and close off yourself to just one person.
Right.
It's not jump in a relationship. It's okay to build a friendship, a bond, and get all of that stuff done first.
And you're young. You know what I mean? You're young.
Exactly.
We got a lot. I'm young. We got a lot of time.
Yeah,
We got a lot of time. But if y'all didn't get what she was saying, like, y'all got to think about it. Like, truth be told, you can't get into a relationship without loving yourself. You have to love yourself. And if you don't know who you are, how you expect somebody to come and love you and try to figure you out when you don't even know who you are? You know what I mean? And, you know, another thing she said too was you got to be willing to make mistakes. It's trial and error. And that's what life is, not just in relationships, but life itself too. And, you know, we're bound to make mistakes. Without mistakes, you don't learn. You got to love those mistakes. You got to love the pain, the hurt. You got to love all of it, because it's destined, is made for you to grow in a specific way, in a specific form. God made us for a specific way, in a specific form, and he's pushing us to where he wants us to go. And sometimes these things are meant to happen. And that's why I believe in life. Everything happens for a reason. That is what I believe. Everything happens for a reason.
Honestly, and you might not see it right then and there, but you'll look back on it. I catch myself looking back like, dang, okay, I see what you was doing there. You know, like, okay, that was for a reason. Okay, so it's just like, and that's what another thing I honestly love the saying that God doesn't put you through anything that you cannot handle. Consistently trying to make you stronger just as much as the next person. So you can't, expect life to be all peaches and cream, because shoot, we all human. Things happen, part of life. And honestly, I would say this: if you ever, honestly, I feel like God will always, he will never put too much on your plate that you can't handle. You're also.
What John Lennon say? Give you all of me.
Yep, that's one of my songs. But yeah, honestly, I just feel like, shoot, if you young, it's okay to not have everything figured out. Like, it's okay to go back a few steps, get your thoughts together and start over. It's okay, to realize, okay, maybe I'm on the wrong path. Maybe I gotta switch lanes a little bit. It's okay to backtrack. It doesn't mean that you're failing or you missed your goals. You just might not get it when you want it, but you'll get it when it's supposed to.
Yeah. Because everything is always just the beginning. It's just the beginning. You know what I mean? So with you, what advice would you give to women in this specific moment that may have been through what you've been through at this time?
I would say it would really genuinely just be, it's okay to not be okay. In the beginning of it all, it is okay to not be okay, to be hurt, to feel pain. Emotions, you're gonna feel emotions.
Yeah.
And no one can push you to feel uncomfortable talking about a situation, or when you're ready, there's always somebody there to listen. Always. It could be, like I said, somebody close to you, somebody not close to you, but there's always somebody that's been through that. So don't feel alone. Don't feel like you have to go through this by yourself. I feel like don't get so closed off to the point where, you're going to feel hurt and you're going to feel all these emotions in one. But like I said, when you're ready to talk to somebody, I promise you, there's always somebody there to listen. Don't feel like your situation isn't as big as the next person's situation. You can't compare. Your pain and your hurt is your hurt and your pain. And that doesn't make you any less or any greater of a person, whether or not it hurt more or hurt less than the next person.
Right. So I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So what do you kind of touched based on it, but like, I know you was in your dark time, right? And you didn't really, you subtracted your mental pain for your physical pain.
Mhm.
What helped you pull that rope to just say, okay, I forgive them, to move on, to let go? What made you push forward to that? I know you said the family supported, but I know sometimes, even though you got that support and sometimes you got those people in your ear, it doesn't really make you move. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
what do you think helped you move? Was it the family support all in all, or was there something else that kind of pushed you to move that way too?
Um, it's two things that I feel like really brought me out of that dark place or drove me to get myself out of that dark place. Like I said, my three sisters, I took care of them since I was like 12, 13.
Yeah.
Like, and it was, I saw how I was checked out of their life and I saw the pain they were going through, watching me suffer, watching me go through something and close them out.
Yeah.
And I knew that I couldn't support them the way I support them now. I couldn't be stable enough to have them and see them and be around them if I didn't drag myself out of it. If it was, I feel like if I would have stayed any longer, I would have completely lost myself.
Yeah.
And they constantly reminded me like of who I was before all of this, and that whoever I became after, they were going to love me regardless and accept me regardless.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. Another thing is, honestly, like I said, it was just more so, in my opinion, I got exhausted. I got exhausted with crying. I got exhausted with being angry every day. I got exhausted with not being able to do the things that I always dreamed of. Like, we talked about doing great things, and that was the huge thing that pushed me. The goals of wanting to get away from here and wanting to be better and wanting to be so much better than what I was used to, and not letting my not letting my surroundings succumb me to being one thing. Like I said, our county is small, and I witnessed a lot of things that I knew that I didn't want to be. I didn't want to become that. And in order for me to do that, I had to get myself out of that situation. And at that time, it was my sisters and it was me. I had faith in me enough to know that I wasn't going to let this get me. Yeah. And like I said, I miss doing the things that I loved. I miss being around my family. I miss going out. I miss having fun. I miss so much because I let a person take something from me. And honestly, I was angry to the point where I wanted to get it back. And that's what I did.
I like that. I wanted to get it back, and that's what I did. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I like that.
No, honestly, I feel like our biggest critics at the end of the day are ourselves.
Right.
And if you continue to beat yourself up, you're going to continue to beat yourself up. You're not going to let up on yourself. You have to give yourself some time to heal.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like I said, it took me a year to even just be able to verbally talk about what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have tears in my eyes. Like, I've never been able to sit and not cry about it and not be so anxious about the situation. I feel like at the end of the day, the only person that got the strength to do it is you and God.
Right.
Like, it's you and God. And God is giving you the strength. He's going to give you the strength, like, honestly, to take you out of any situation. And like I said, it might not be when you need it, it might not be when you want it to be, like tomorrow or the next day. Yeah. But when you most, like I said, I was completely about to lose myself. And when I needed it the most, a switch just flipped. And I just was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to hide my arms. I don't want to walk around like insecure because I got blood everywhere. I don't want, I wanted to have a name for myself, but I didn't want my self-harming to be how people knew me, how people remembered me. I wanted to be better than that.
Y'all hear that? So how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to lay your footsteps? You are the only person who can navigate your life, who can navigate what choices and decisions you make in life. And nobody else can define that. Our mistakes doesn't define us. You are who you are. You are destined to be who you are. Love who you are. And love the journey. You gotta ride it. You gotta ride it. You gotta ride it.
It's gonna, but I'm telling you, once you get through it, it's gonna be well worth it in the end.
Y'all heard it from the one and only Amia Booker, my little cousin, by the way, if y'all didn't hear it in the beginning. That's my little cousin. So I want to thank you for coming on here and really sharing your story, because I know on a personal level, I know everything you've been through, and I witnessed some of the things, you know what I mean? And and I just want to say you are very strong for getting to the point where you are now, you know what I mean? And a lot of people have a hard time getting to where you are now. You know what I mean? And all I'm gonna keep saying to you is just keep going, keep pushing. And you know, when your time is there, your time is there. Just like you said.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. I appreciate giving people this platform to be able to open up and let people hear other people's story, to help them through situations like this, to need that motivation, to need that outlook on life, that you're not alone. Like, what you're doing is really good. Like, a lot of people need this, and like, you know, I'm always here to help, you know. So I really good.
It's the movement, you know what I mean? I think it's what the world needs. And because I think the world need to open their eyes and realize that we all have stories. You know what I mean? We all have stories that we don't know the person we're talking to across the room is going through, when they're really going through something and we don't know it. And we think our life is in shatters and tears, but really everyone you see is going through something. And we have to be able to hold each other up and hold each other hands, regardless of what we look like, regardless of our sexuality, regardless of who we are or what we done or anything in that nature. And we got to love one another. And that's just what this is about. You know what I mean?
You're right.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Bye, people.
All right. That was powerful. I really want to thank you again, Mia, for coming on this show. I want to thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's a 3-peat. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all. Episode 4 is now complete. Get ready for episode 5.
But I'm excited because when I leave, I literally have, we may never see each other again, but I have the ability when you walk out of this room